Well, hello everybody, and we have something a little bit special for you today. I am joined by Tony Dyson, Slim Warrior, Chantal Harvey, and Sylvia Tavison, who are part of the team, in fact, the core team, behind something called Bobbekins. Now, Bobbekins is an exciting new kind of ebook project featuring real time multimedia, ever so lovely music and narration, wonderfully exotic locations, and, well, a whole lot more besides. So, welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi there.
Well, while we're filming, we're going to have our cameras sort of roaming around a wonderful, wonderful place called Toy City, which is the filming lot for the real-time animation that you're going to be seeing in Bobbekins. I'm going to actually start with Tony Dyson. Tony was the creator, amongst other things, of the world's most lovable robot, we are told. R2D2, if that name is familiar. But he's very much the guiding light behind this wonderful new project. So I'll go over to you, Tony, and maybe you'd like to tell us a bit about the project and the sort of innovations inherent in it.
Okay, Mel. The Bobbekins, in actual fact, is a joint venture, as you know, with Chantal Harvey and myself. We're also both down as authors. We've been working on this project for 2 years. It's been a long project because it's split into two parts. One of it is the publication, which is going to be in ebooks, electronic, digital, and printed. And the other side of it is the animation, advanced animation. The thought behind it was that we want to have a much more advanced animation than normally find for, let's say, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. So we're really upping the bar there. So that's the most important part of it. Also, the characterization, the three worlds. We have Bobbekin World, which is the one we're talking about now with the Bobbekins. We also have Fairy World as well, and Robot World. So there's three different sets and three different worlds of characters aimed at slightly different age groups, but more to do with what people have as favorites. Even children have their own favorites and they can listen to. So that's the basic project. Yeah.
But Chantal, of course, is known to many people watching this, and this is quite interesting. The concept of real-time animation and the way it can be integrated into the idea of the ebook and things like that. So maybe Chantal, you'd like to say what's fascinating you about this project and the new approaches you're taking with this.
Yeah, well, you better ask me what's not fascinating about the project, because ask me what's fascinating, and do you have an hour or so? So, no, without kidding, it's been a fun ride since the beginning. We've been working in real-time animation for about 2 years. You know, Tony and I met when I was producing the 48-hour film project. He was kind enough to be jury member, head of jury, actually. And ever since then, we've been working together. We made animations. We did many projects, but it all seems to come together in this one. This is really it's almost like an invention. It's what we're doing now is we're creating kids' books and leaving the old way animation behind. I don't know how to express it, but if you see animated children's books, it sort of shows you the wriggling hippo or the duck that swims around the boat. And I don't know about you, but my little cousins and nieces all have an iPad or a Kindle. You know, they all have readers and computers. So the things that used to fascinate us when we were younger still seem to be around. And it's time we moved on. That's my honest opinion. And animation is there to be used and to be seen. And doing this with real-time animation that we can do in here in our studio, so it's really mind-blowing.
Well, it has that modern 3D feel too. Whereas I think what possibly one of your criticisms about traditional children's animation is it's rather flat, isn't it? I guess
Yes.
they go for the simple approach. There's plenty in the cinema that is 3D, but when you take other forms of media, it's. I often look at children's books on things like the iPad and stuff like that, and feel they're being a bit patronising because the level of the communication isn't really that immersive. It's sort of do this, do that kind of thing,
Yes,
and this
exactly.
sort
And
of.
that's one of the things, one of the big feedbacks we had on what we're doing now is people say you don't seem to talk down to children. I say, oh, by all means, we never will. Because, why teach children what they already know? Why not go a little bit beyond that? It doesn't matter if you use difficult words, you can look them up. And if you make a story good enough to engage the parent and the teacher, then they will bring that over to the child. You remember from your own young days
Yeah.
when your mother would go, oh, you would say, Mom, what's that? What's that? So if you engage the parents and the teachers, then the children, will enjoy it even more.
I remember from my childhood there was one particular male teacher I had who, when he got onto certain subjects, got overly excitable, and it was quite infectious.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
they were. Half of it would be laughing at the teacher because they'd be highly animated or something, but at the same time it was engaging. It works. You could, they transmit the enthusiasm. But yes, well, very well and good. Now we should point out here, you and Tony have been working. Your company is called Scissors, isn't it? We've had a few clips from you in the past, but you have basically a new company behind this, don't you? Netdreamer Publications.
Yes. We are a publishing house now, really. Cesaurus is the film company. We are still Cesaurus. Our films are still made by Cesaurus, but the publishing company is bringing out the books now.
Right. And while we're on the intro stage, I think it might be rather appropriate to mention Indiegogo.com. You are basically
Indiegogo. Yeah.
crowdsourcing as Indiegogo. That's it. You're basically crowdsourcing funding for lots of this. Would you like to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. I'd love to. What we're doing is we went to Indiegogo for the crowdfunding to do the pre-sales. We're actually doing pre-sales of the books and lots of other goodies at the moment. And we're using, social media for which crowdfunding is the main one, in my opinion, at the moment. So what we're doing is not only selling the book at a cheaper price than where it will go later when we actually launch it, but what we really trying to do is stay independent, because we had offers from publishing houses already. And, it's such an easy thing to do at this stage. Sell your concept, sell your idea, but then it's not yours anymore. So we really would like to stay and develop the product the way we want it to be. It's our dream and our concept. So Indiegogo and crowdfunding is the way to go.
Great. Well, near the end, we'll actually read out and probably put out the addresses of Indiegogo, and of course you've got a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and you've been publishing some.
Mm-hmm.
We've been seeing some short 30-second extracts as well from the books, haven't we, on the web recently?
Yes, we are
Just
posting one
pages.
page a day. Yes. The book has about 32 pages, and 25 pages of that hold a film, a snippet of film. So when you turn the page, and that's the fun thing about it, you do not only read the traditional text and hear all the lovely music and the sounds, but you also see the film that goes with it while you can read it. So the parent and the child can do this together and time again. And we are posting a snippet a day, one page a day at the moment, yes.
Oh, they are lovely, enticing clips, I must say.
Oh, thank you.
Let's bring some of the others into the conversation now. As I mentioned, we've also got Sylvia here, who is, I think, can best be described as the graphic designer. What's your inspirations, if there is such a thing, in all this design?
Well, first of all, it's communication. I communicate a lot with Tony and with Chantal, so at the start there wasn't much conversation needed, because straight away I knew what they wanted to be look like and everything. It was just basically I knew what they wanted, what they were seeking for, so that made for me to create the cover a bit easier in a way of just presenting it and saying, what do you think about this and this? And it was 9 out of 10 times it was indeed in the as they wanted it.
I can say
So
yes to that.
So we have a bit of synergy, or whatever it's called, a bit of harmony on the communication.
Definitely a harmony, yes, definitely.
The final member of the team we've got here today is no stranger to this program, actually. It's Slim Warrior, who, of course, has contributed all the wonderful music that accompanies this. Welcome, Slimmie.
Thank you very much.
How exciting has this been for you, as if I need to ask?
It's actually been great, and certainly because I've got a history of working with Chantal and with music, and certainly from the 48 Hours Film Project. Something like this it's been an absolute delight to see the progress, and because I totally believe in the concept that they're doing here. As a musician, the correlation obviously between animation, film, and music, as you know, it's historical because it's used for absolutely everything. But for me, it was a little bit of a challenge to create a piece of music that suited what the Bobbekins are all about, really. And I'm a huge proponent of interactive visual and audio for children who are learning, and not only for just normal everyday children, but also for children with special needs who rely very heavily on visuals and audio to learn, where they're not able to rely on just a written text. So this whole concept about the Bobbekins encompasses everything, certainly for me as a parent, but also as a musician, that I can see is going to help children in a huge way. And making the music was absolutely great. I absolutely love the Bobbekins. I love the whole story behind it. I love how they've used the animations, and creating a piece of music that fits them was actually fabulous. I enjoyed every minute of it, and working with the team too, and getting feedback on what everybody felt was good, or perhaps if it needed some changes. It's been wonderful, really, really wonderful.
Great. Well, at the risk of getting slightly techie, not too techie, but I know a lot of people who watch our show are rather interested in the backgrounds of these things. You mentioned earlier, I'm throwing this open to you all, but Tony and Chantal specifically. You mentioned earlier that this is a publishing wing, and it's advanced, modern world publishing, so to speak, and you intend to deploy it presumably on iPads, Android pads, maybe the web, the desktop, multiple avenues. Maybe you'd like to tell me a bit just about how you sort of see it going in terms of on the deployment front. Obviously, with crowdsourcing and everything else, hopefully you'll have an opportunity to develop in various avenues. Would you see it be going beyond ebooks as a trademark, as it were, or are you really focusing on an advanced ebook format? Maybe Chantal.
Oh, I was hoping Tony would answer this one, actually.
Okay, Tony, fair enough.
Oh, charming.
Sorry, Tony.
Okay, two things I want to say straight away. Thank you, Chantal. Drum roll. Okay, first thing I'd like to say straight away is that the reason why we're all here is because we are a team, and that's the most important thing. In reality, we've found that the people we've ended up with, remember it's a 2-year project, the people we've ended up with, which you find here in the group, really have a feel for our project, and we have a feel for their work. So really must make that clear. A reason I didn't mention it earlier is because the questions were different, and obviously I knew you'd be getting around to the rest of the members. Okay, So that's the first thing. The cover is fabulous. I mean, it really is very, very high quality. The music has that beat that matters. And we worked very hard with Slimmie about that. And she really got into it. And she wouldn't put up with anything until she got it right. And that's so, so important. And we also have a narrator, which we are blessed with, to say the least. She isn't with us now at the moment, Janet, because she doesn't come into Second Life. And again, the same thing comes into play, which Slimmie was saying. For all types of audience, voice, sound is a very, very important thing. The music, the beat, and the narration really count when it comes to a book, especially when it's a multimedia book. And our narrator is excellent. She has a fabulous voice. Reminds me when I was a child with Are You Sitting Comfortably? Well, I'll Begin on BBC.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. It draws the child in. That's how I feel it does, you know. And Janet has a wonderful voice, and when you'll listen to it, and it just it does. It makes me want to sit down and watch every single story.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that was wonderful work. We're so lucky. And we did try more than one, believe me. We tried different ways. At the beginning, we looked at dialogue. We found that this is much better for the children. You can explain the characters. You can get into it much, much easier. We tried different voices for the narrators. We tried male for the owl. And we have a concept where you'll find with the fairy owl at the beginning of the film is in a magical grove. It's like a fairy grove. And that will be the beginning of every story. So from there, the storyteller, which is the fairy owl, tells us where we're going. So this time it's the Bobbekins and one adventure. The next adventure will come from there. And then as we go through the different worlds with the fairies and with the robots, it always starts in the grove, the magical grove, and always starts with the fairy owl. So that's the concept. Now, to be added to that, and the whole world of Bobbekins, for example, all the other worlds, we're also doing Kindle books about the alphabet, about crossing roads, all kinds of things you do for children. This time around, we've got coloring books. We've got photo albums as well. If you look down the actual, let's say, the gifts or they have on Indiegogo, which is netdreamer.com to get there easily, you'll find that all the other publications are written down there, which we'll be publishing as we go along through the project. And of course, we'll be adding to that all the time as a publishing house. Even a soundtrack will be actually sold separately. The whole idea is to move to the next generation. And Chantal put it very, very well when she was saying we're not talking down to children. We want children to be really pushed. We want them to be challenged. We want the children to say, well, what's an anvil? What's pounding? What is a medieval farm? Which is the story is based around, by the way. We don't want them to understand everything and have a duck going in a pond and a cow saying moo. We have to challenge. I mean, our cows bark, by the way, because you would, but they're actually stuffed and still, so they bark a lot. Or even say meow, maybe. But basically speaking, we want the child to enjoy it as much as the parents, and the parents as much as the child. It's a policy that's come out quite well with things like Shrek and Ice Age. Parents are going back to enjoying animation. Wow, try that one again. And really getting them involved, like we said earlier on, means that they'll be more involved with the story with the child. And we'll get the mimicking effect. When the child sees the parents or teacher excited about the project, excited about the video, then they'll get excited. Then they'll take notice and listen. And through that, they will learn much, much more. So we're going for that policy. Now, I've found in the last 12 months that a lot of people talk about doing this kind of work. They talk about talking not down but up. They talk about engaging the teacher or the parent. They talk about challenging the child with emotions and with passion. But they don't actually do it. And that was really the driving factor for us. We said, look, we've got the ability to do it with a virtual world. We have that ability. We can do real-time animation. We can actually lift the bar and really challenge the child and bring in the new ideas of teaching. So that's really the whole project. Now, when we gave that idea and showed the videos we were doing to the rest of the team, that's when they said, yeah, we want to be on this. We want to get in here. This is it. This is great. And every single person that's joined the team has had that feeling. There's never been sort of, oh, really? They've always said, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, This is what we want for our kids or our sisters or our brothers. This is where to go. And they were very encouraging. And that's been a fantastic help to us. We really felt like we'd come out of the cloud, because the first year when we were learning the techniques of filming, because it does take some special software, some special techniques to film in this world. It's not straightforward by any means. When we got the idea right, the technical side right, then we started meeting the right people for the rest of the publication. And this is how we've ended up with this team now. I'm very, very happy to work with these people. Very happy.
That's great. I actually sort of deal with quite a few educators and things like that, and it's very much the future of education by engagement instead of the hand-me-down information. I'm not just talking about the patronizing bit, but encouraging kids to explore and develop new ideas and things is very much a pattern now. You can't just get away with telling the story. You have to involve them in it, so to speak, be it history, geography, or whatever is being taught. So it's quite fascinating, and I like the way you are referring to the co-storyteller too, if you like. I have a storytelling session where it's actually later tonight, Fridays, where I frequently end up, and this is to an adult audience, I hasten to add, reading and reciting world fairy tales. Because it's there's underlying messages in a lot of these old stories that really appeals to adults too. So it's really nice to see something that you can really envisage the adult who's guiding a child through this getting as much out of it as the child themselves. So I think that's
exactly
really wonderful, really wonderful aspect to it.
Well, that was our aim, and I think everybody saw that. And we're surprised to start with, some outsiders. And they kept saying, in actual fact, we've have some contacts and advisors. If you go to our website, Netdreamer.com, you'll find we have a group of advisors besides the team. And they're all professors, or in the multimedia, or they're in some branch of what we're doing. And a couple, in actual fact, are in television, American television, which is for education. And the first off, when they saw the film, they were saying, they want to understand that word. They want to understand that word. PBS, one of them works for, which is right across America. And very prestigious, a bit like our BBC in the UK.
Yeah,
and we explained and showed more. And this particular advisor, and she said, And then she was going around, this was last year when we started working with her. And then she started realizing this was exactly what the other schools, the other universities were finding out on research in the way that children learn. And it was dawning on her. And it was amazing, as we were bringing it out, she was going to seminars and coming back with the same information. And she actually came back to us and said, I can't believe it. This is exactly what the other findings are. We shouldn't talk down, we should talk up and let them ask, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? That was the first time we had a really good breakthrough and confirmation of our ideas being correct. And also the engagement, of course. Now, the engagement is made, and it exists now, that the parents can watch it and watch it and watch it and still enjoy it. And that was worked very hard at that. Of course, they haven't always got the time for that, we understand. But at least it's there to allow them to be involved. And I think that makes a big difference. Because when you especially have a busy father who's reading out to the child, if it's the simplistic one, he gets a little bit on the bored side and his nerves aren't quite there. And we check this out, and it's true. Sort of, not that one again, I think that's something. It's true. It's perfectly true. We live in a fast-age, society.
Yeah, actually, from what I can see of this, actually, I mean, it is, it's not like the immersion of it taking the kids or the father, if you like, into any full immersive environment. It is very immersive from what I can see, but in a way that actually is quite fast. I gather a father could sort of read through this with a kid, and probably, it's only going to be 15 minutes of his time in a session. It's not going to be a long epic, is it? Where you're at it all night, which I imagine is a very good thing. It's something you can, just pick up the pad and it's easily, sit down with the child and
Yeah.
it's easily accessible and over
Yes,
fairly
we've got
quickly.
it in bite-sized pieces. It's 25 pages of animation. So you see a section, a couple of minutes, and then you turn over. 40 minutes altogether in the first animated book, the first adventure. Because they go through a portal, and Clive, the one that I normally portray, he's the sort of reluctant hero. He's the one that goes round and says, I want to be explorer, Dad. And Dad says, okay. And then they all celebrate because he's going to be explorer. But it turns out his sister, who's his best friend, called Sue, she's the one with the guts, basically. I mean, she's much braver, much more brave than he is. And he stays back and she goes forward, which is a little bit like real life and many times anyway. These kind of subtleties we've added into the storyline, things that parents can enjoy and see in their own children, things that surprises them and gives them joy when they find that somebody, really wants something, but they're a little bit shy about doing it. So there's something to relate to all the time. It's also amusing and not too deep, but yes, it has a bit of a pace to it. And I think, again, the children we've been with really depends on the parents. If the parents say, oh, I think this is a bit too fast, or I don't quite get it, then the kid straight away says, oh, no, I don't either, and they start walking around and getting bored. So we do have a middle ground. And it is new, remember, in the sense that we are giving them a little bit more than they would normally have at that age. But the interesting thing is, they're so fast, kids with handheld devices, that it fits well into that ideal. People are so surprised.
Actually just going to ask you I was going to ask you something. I don't want you to give any technical sort of secrets away, trade secrets here, but I was wondering how much you intend to employ some of the, I mean, you only have to look at the touchpads now to realize that it's a tactile interface, no more mice and keyboards and whatever. And I downloaded an iPad app this morning, actually, which is, I can't even remember its full name. It's sort of shoot 'em up, save Earth from alien invaders sort of thing. But the reason I got it is because it's got some new technology where you can, you literally open up the environment and it can read from the iPad's camera the gestures. You don't even have to touch the screen, and you can send it across to a big screen using AirPlay or whatever, and you can literally wave at the big screen, and your iPad's camera sees what you're doing and translates that into actions. Now, I know this is a book; it's not a game as such. But are you making? Are you sort of planning to make full use of all these new sort of interfacing tools and stuff, or are you?
The interactive tools we will be later on. In actual fact, the book concept itself has many interactive possibilities, just in the software we're using at the moment. That's why I picked this particular software. For the multimedia book, it's called Turn Page, and the pages actually turn like a real book. And we have a video across the top and text underneath it. Later on, of course, we'll have it on individual pages, depending on the actual book itself. I love the idea of having a traditional format and looking like a traditional book, clicking the pages and them turning animated. I adore it, because I don't really like going down a long page like you do with PDF. I don't like that very much.
Oh, yes.
And kids seem to take to it well, and parents take to it well as well. That software allows us to do actually questioning. We can question so many objects on the page, and they can click it in. They can also collect pictures and put into a photo album. So they can actually interact with our books. The first one, no. Later on, yes. So as the technology develops, yes, we will be taking on board things that we find useful. But most of all, as a publishing house, we need to cover all the ground to start with. That means all the formats to go on all the hand devices to start with. And that's quite a job. Then there's the printed ones. We are actually doing printed books, traditional books, because some people still are asking for them. And they also want us to go on a tour autographing them as well. So we'll be doing that too.
Oh, great.
Yeah! Hip, hip, hooray!
That's going to be fun. Are you? Oh, okay. Let's get the rest of you back. Are you all going to go on the tour?
Yep. So we've got that lined up. And that's one of the other reasons, by the way, when Chantal was saying about us looking for the funds, is totally and utterly true when it comes to selling out to a publishing house. One of the major problems there is that they don't actually give you profit any longer. And we are, obviously a commercial company. We have to make a living and feed ourselves and feed our family. And on that side, they expect you to actually earn your money through talks and lectures.
Yeah.
They don't expect you to make any money out of your books any longer. That's the past. The future is that they distribute your book through all the shops, and they take practically all the money. They give you pence on a book. And that's fine if you're actually going to make your money going to universities and lecturing. But if you don't live in the US or don't live in the UK, and I don't live in the UK and I don't live in the US, and Chantal lives in Holland, that makes it very silly. On top of that, they also tell you what they want and what they don't want, which makes life a bit silly.
Yeah, this corporate sort of
It's changed a lot. Publishing has changed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, engineering creativity is not the way to go about it. I'm sure Slimmie would agree here, because the music business is much the same. You know, the artists can't make money on royalties like they used to, but they're encouraged to go out and tour and promote. And touring, once again, is often where the money is.
Absolutely, and you'll find now that certainly for publishing what are called sync contracts, which is music to visuals. A lot of the publishing houses, what filmmakers used to do is go to a music library and be able to select a piece of music for a particular film or whatever they wanted to use it for, to sync with the visual, and it would be a reasonably good deal. But these days it really isn't, and certainly on the music side, in terms of royalties, it's pennies if anything these days, and one relies on merchandise. And perhaps live gigs. I think that's how it goes. So I don't see that it's any different now, probably across the board, and certainly for books like this, but I do feel it's terribly important to remain as independent as possible, because you have control over what your concept is. Certainly I prefer to retain control of the music that I release.
Yeah.
And I think it's more important for a project like this to retain that, because for one reason, it's completely unique. Nobody else is doing something like this. And as Tony and Chantal said before, it would be very easy to sell out to a big buyer, but then what? You sold your idea that you've poured your heart and soul into for pennies, really.
Absolutely. I think that would be wholly wrong, to be honest. I mean, I know some people make a profession of it, don't they? Coming up with ideas and selling for some phenomenal amount of money and then moving on. But where's it's your baby. Where you want to
it takes the passion out of it, the heart out of it, really. And I certainly feel for something that they've created here, being able to expand on this, to grow and to see the reactions and get the feedback directly is far better than giving it to somebody else who isn't going to have the same passion. They're just in it for the bucks. I mean, this is a team who's absolutely passionate about every part of this, and it's rare to find a team that pulls together so well and wants to make it work and remain independent. And I think it's absolutely hats off, and it's brilliant, really.
Love you.
I also it's a separate subject, so we won't go there. But I often think back to, I guess it would be the late 70s, the new wave, or particularly the punk era, where it overturned the music industry. Everybody was doing their own thing. They were going with small labels, and they really sort of made the impact. And it's a shame that so much of that has just turned around to sort of corporate world again. But I'm actually enthused by these tablet formats and things like that, because I think there is a revival of being, they're accessible. You just go to app stores and things and you download the apps, but they're also affordable. They're not cheap, especially when you've got custom apps for different platforms. But it is a new form of independent publishing that, like a lot of mobile communications, actually bypasses middlemen, and it empowers people to do what they want and stand a reasonable chance of exposure. So, I think that's
totally.
something very precious. I think that's something very precious, we want to hold on to.
And
Well,
and
very
also
much.
for the fact that with a lot of these iPads and iPhones and all the apps that kids can get, one tends to forget the absolute necessity of the parent sharing this experience with the child, being able to sit down with a book. I know a lot of parents do. I've done it with all my children, is sat down with a proper book and we read the stories and we look at the pictures. I have a son with special needs, so stories that I've done with him have relied very heavily on visuals rather than the text. With something that's animated as well, you're all sharing that experience. The child isn't a passive listener to the story. They get the opportunity to watch, to learn, to ask questions, and to share that with the parent, because it's a very short period of time. But I do know a lot of parents that their kids will have an iPad or whatever it is, and that's it. They go away and they play it all on their own. They do it all on their own, and they don't have any sharing. And I think
Yeah.
that's hugely important in children's education. And I see parents doing this. I see them actually
This is
sitting
rather like
down with the children, going through all the aspects with the Bobbekins, all the stories, learning with their child, which is so important. And of course, the music. Of course, it's a recognisable. Sorry, because I am going to plug that. You have what are called anchor points throughout all of these things. You have the anchor of the owl, the narrator. That's there. It's a constant in these series of stories. You've got the music, which is a recognisable. When that music comes on, what it's related to. You get to learn who each character is, their personalities, throughout all the stories, and if you put them all together and have that as a sharing experience, it's priceless, really. It's offering all families with young children something very, very different.
It's too true. I mean, I know TV is changing now. You get these sets with interactivity sort of built into them on a primitive scale, but it is true. The iPad is becoming like an television. The kid or the adult, people take it away to their own private space and fiddle with it. And
It's a very solo experience for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in kind of what you might think of as a family environment. It's very destructive because people are on their social networks or whatever to the detriment of communicating with the people around them, their close family or friends. So,
and this whole thing, but what they've incorporated too, as Tony said about the turning pages, that's such a great thing. You're not scrolling down one long scrolling website,
Yeah. Yes, you have to put the scroll wheel on automatic and try and read it. I know what you mean. It's pretty dire there, actually. Now, I know one thing you have. I'll go back to Chantal here, maybe on this one. You also have a Facebook page, for example. Presumably, despite our criticisms of going alone and working with social media, you mentioned earlier you'll have things like the readers will be able to save pictures, and presumably they'll be able to post them on a Facebook site and things like that to encourage the sort of viral nature of it.
Sorry, say again. You're cutting out a little bit for me, Mal.
I'm sorry. Well, I know you've got a Facebook site as well.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how much you might make use of that. We've been criticizing social media for a second there, but presumably, as Tony mentioned, people can save their own pictures, their favorite pictures and stuff, and maybe upload them to places like Facebook, presumably, so that
yes.
But you're
apart from promoting at the
make
moment.
it viral.
Yeah, exactly. Apart from promoting at the moment, I find the best side of Facebook, the opportunity it gives is interaction with the fans. Like we have one little girl, it's a little girl in England. She's a little bit sickly, and she saw the dancing video of the Bobbekins that we have on our website. And she demanded it 30 times in a row. She's driving her parents crazy. And Sylvia is the one that told me this. It's the daughter of a friend of her. Yeah. And she kept saying, "Oh, dance again." And it gave me the opportunity to upload a picture of Clive, our leading Bobbekin, on Facebook and say, "Hi Nia, do you like to dance?" Well, that provoked a reaction, didn't it, Donnie?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. Yeah, yep. They
So-
really
Yeah.
Tell me, Sylvia. Yeah.
they are really completely in love with it. In particular, the one who's 3 years old, and she really keeps nagging her mom. Mom, I want to watch it. I want to watch it. You know, and it's not always a good time for it. You know, that's how it goes. But Mom does have to make time so she can watch the Bobbekins. They really adore it. They absolutely do.
Yeah. We've gone on for quite a while here, so I think maybe we should sort of start wrapping up. It's been great to have you all here. We're also filming a whole load of stuff in Toy City as we're talking, so people will be able to watch this with lots of visuals as well. Facebook, which just seems to be data farming everything, but if you concentrate on a few things and connect, and I mean, they're ideal for people who are addicts, for want of a better word, of a particular thing, because it's like a constant feedback loop for things people are passionate about. So, but I love that story, Sylvia, of the kids. It's just that makes you know you've hit.
Yes.
The mark, doesn't it? The kids get up and I've got to have it, and
Exactly.
that's the message all in itself, really. Maybe just I'll go round you one by one, which is a habit I have doing on our chat shows. Just to anything else you'd like to say or bring up. Maybe start with Sylvia.
No, not really. I just want to give a lot of thanks to Chantal after me posting on Facebook saying I'm bored, that she said, "Well, I have something to do for you then." I mean,
that's how it started.
Bored. Yes, that's how it started. And I've never been bored after since. So that's basically that I just want to point out here.
Yeah, that reminds me of certain people. I say, "So I've run out of things to do. I'm bored," and somebody always says, "Oh well."
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got this.
I want to say a huge thank you too to Chantal and Tony, because it's an absolute pleasure working with them both, and just the excitement over the whole project has been wonderful, and thank you very much for asking me to do the music for it. I've enjoyed every minute, I really have. And for those of you watching, of course, please do support this project. It's such a fantastic concept. And I'm sure Mal will be giving the links later, but it's very, very easy just to join up and help kickstart this project into something that can really change some children's lives.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
So,
well said.
Chantal.
Yeah. Well, Slimmie took the words right off my mouth. What I want to say is, I know the community here and a lot of people online. I've always been working hard, giving. We're still giving. And I would really like to do a call on people to support this. So, yes. Yes, Slimmie, thank you. You said everything I want to say. Please support the Bobbekins.
So I'll just take the words out of your mouth then.
Yeah, you did. You bopped the words right out of my mouth.
We're bopped.
Yeah.
Isn't there a song in that somewhere?
Oh, I've got several.
There is.
Want me to write one?
No, there is a song. You took the words right out of my mouth. I can't think what it is anyway. Okay, last words from Tony then. Any last words from you, Tony?
Bobbekin.
Ah,
I love
be
Bobbekin.
bobba do what? Bobbekin. Be bobba Bobbekin.
Thank you everybody it's already given, and please just put it on the Facebook if you can't give anything at the moment, if you don't want to buy one of the books at the moment, just tell somebody. Let's get a buzz going.
Spread the word.
Yep.
Yes,
Let's
please
get the
spread
buzz.
the word. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
thank you
please.
for having us on the program. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you
it's
very much,
been-
Mel.
Okay, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm going to be hanging around here for a little bit with Ben. Love just admiring some of the scenery here too. It is truly a magical looking place. So what more could you ask for,
Thank
I
you.
suspect
Well,
we're
thanks all
going
of
to the
you for.
teapot, right?
Yeah, the teapot.
Yeah,
That
let's go
sounds
to the
like
teapot
yeah,
house.
a cup of tea in a teapot.
In a teapot.
A very big teapot, I hasten to add. Okay, well, it's been wonderful having you all on here, and hopefully, you won't be strangers. We'll be hearing from you soon, and we'll be getting everybody to get in touch, donate, plug it, whatever. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mel.
Great. Thank you,
Thank
Mel.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks, everybody.
Who are you? Am I late? Or are you early? I hate being late for storytelling, don't you? Let me introduce myself. My name is Janet Brightfeathers. I am the master storyteller to the Queen. So it's just fine for me to be late, because no matter what, my story will always be just on time.